episode of the Fake Football Analysts. I'm your host, the most Aaron Cass. We have another wide receiver edition here. As you can tell, Hollywood Brown is an Eagle. He signed for a one-year deal, $6.5 million to be with Jalen Hurts, the Slim Reaper, Devontae Smith, and maybe A.J. Brown. But before we get started, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow Fake Football Analysts on YouTube right there down below. And then also make sure you guys follow us on TikTok, which is Fake Football Analysts, and on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, _Fake Analysts. All right, so let's get it started here. So Jalen Hurts has a new weapon, and this weapon I feel like will actually help with the scheme that they're trying to prevent this year. So the new offensive coordinator is Sean Mannion. So if anyone doesn't know who Sean Mannion is, he was part of like the Shanahan McVay thing going on, and recently he was the Packers quarterback coach. Also, too, he was a quarterback at Oregon State. So he was a Beaver, and he did jump around from team to team. I believe at one point he almost started like to be the starter for the Rams. I know he probably started a few games there when they were in LA, but nonetheless. So I think with this pairing, or even trifecta, if A.J. Brown doesn't want to get traded and you could put Hollywood Brown at the slot position, I feel like with the Shanahan McVay system that Sean Mannion is going to bring here, Hollywood Brown's going deep. I'm just going to put that out there. He could be your Puka Nakua-esque, or he could be the Tutu Atwell, who's now in Miami, but he was in Sean McVay's system in LA. So I think that Hollywood Brown's going to be used like that. Now, he has been with Kyler Murray. He's been with Lamar Jackson. He's been with Pat Mahomes. So having a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, who's probably in his eyes, which he did say on the Speakeasy podcast with Shady McCoy and Emmanuel Acho, that Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback with not so less the deep throw, but just the way that his motion is, his vertical throws. Like, he loves everything about Jalen Hurts with that. And he almost stayed at Oklahoma for another year just because Jalen Hurts was coming from Alabama to Oklahoma. But instead, he went to the draft, which was smart because he was a first-round pick for the Ravens. So that I'm not concerned with that connection. I feel like now, like, Devontae Smith is fast. Let's not say he's not a fast receiver. But Hollywood Brown, I feel like, is a faster receiver. He's a little bit lankier. He's a little bit smaller than Devontae Smith, but he can get downfield. And if Jalen Hurts can dish it, I've seen it. I'm a Giants fan. We all know this. I've seen what Jalen Hurts can do, especially with the deep ball. So having Hollywood Brown, he's going to probably average 7 to 8 touchdowns. He's going to average at least 7 to 8 yards per catch for Jalen Hurts. I think it's a great system for Jalen Hurts, and I think it's a great system for Hollywood Brown. Now, he did say on the Speakeasy podcast that he did have a few offers, but, I mean, when it's Jalen Hurts, they were literally Super Bowl champions 2 years ago. You have Saquon Barkley. I mean, it's a perfect formula for him. He almost went to Baltimore, but I think with Baltimore and the whole Max Crosby situation and more things are coming out about Baltimore, like, he loves Lamar Jackson, but with all that dysfunction over there, I wouldn't blame him going to the Eagles, who have a winning culture. And I'm not afraid to say that. The Eagles have a winning culture. He hasn't really been on a team like that. I mean, you could say John Harbaugh's Ravens teams, they are just consistent. They never won a Super Bowl. They never made it to a Super Bowl. They had that consistency. He goes over to Arizona. Exactly. Nothing happened in Arizona. You had Kyler Murray, which is great. He's also a good deep ball threat, which we'll see with Justin Jefferson. Make sure you guys check out that episode with Kyler Murray's redemption arc. That will be on our YouTube page. We were discussing that earlier last week. And then he has Pat Mahomes, who's arguably one of the best quarterbacks, probably top 10 all time. You can even say top 15 if you want to go really old school with certain quarterbacks. So, I mean, the fact that he only had 587 yards, 5 touchdowns while coming off an injury from 2024, where I think he only played like 2 games and he was out for the year with an ankle injury. He's capable of doing 1,000 yards. I think the only time he did 1,000 yards was, I believe, his second year in the league, and he had 8 touchdowns. So I think this is a great pickup for Jalen Hurts. I really feel like they're going to have the connection. And with everything that's going on with AJ Brown, we've seen it the last 2 years. He just doesn't look like he wants to be in Philadelphia. So this is a good number 2 option because we all know Devontae Smith is going to elevate and become the number 1 receiver if AJ Brown leaves. He's a greater fit than Jahan Dotson the last 2 years. I believe he signed with the Atlanta Falcons, which good luck, Atlanta Falcons. He's definitely not that great receiver. Anyways, getting a little sidetrack here. But yeah, with Hollywood Brown, I feel like the way he can stretch the field out, we're not going to see too much 10-yard button hooks or anything where it only goes to 10 yards because we saw that last year with in Kevin Patalo's offense when new head coach for the New Orleans Saints, Kellen Moore, was on that Super Bowl winning team. The offense didn't really look like it gelled very well. It kind of took a step back. I feel like with Hollywood Brown, like I said, you could if AJ Brown stays and you have him in the slot, deadly. Dallas Goedert signed back for a 1-year deal. Deadly. He's probably, in my point of view, for a Philadelphia Eagle, I feel like he is a better tight end than Zach Ertz was in Philadelphia, and that's saying much. Like I feel like Dallas Goedert has that extra level that can help Jalen Hurts later on in the season. So I feel like with all these weapons, someone is going to be open. So with Hollywood Brown being that guy, which I feel like he will be that guy, it's going to happen. Now, I have it down here, Jalen Hurts deep threat. I feel like he is going to be Jalen Hurts' deep threat. From what he's saying, how versatile Jalen Hurts is, his deep ball is really efficient. He puts it right in the receiver's hands. I think Hollywood Brown's going to go off this year. Now, do I think 1,000 yards receiving? It all just depends on who's in the receiver room. If AJ Brown is in the receiver room, I could see him, Hollywood Brown, getting like 700 to 800 yards. And that's not even taking away from Devontae Smith. But then again, everyone needs to eat. So I think the plan of action going forward for the Philadelphia Eagles is that AJ Brown gets traded. So that's the other point I put down there. Replacing AJ Brown, question mark. I feel like Hollywood Brown is going to replace AJ Brown. I don't think AJ Brown's going to be here in the beginning of the season. Where he goes, I keep hearing the New England Patriots for AJ Brown. I feel like they need a number 1 receiver in alpha, and I think he can elevate Drake May from the receivers that he's had. I mean, Stephon Diggs basically had 1,000 yards with Drake May. Imagine AJ Brown, who's healthier, stronger, and I would say a little bit faster than Stephon Diggs. So I do think Hollywood Brown, even though it is a 1-year deal, I feel like Hollywood Brown's going to make a big impact like he did when he came out of Oklahoma and helped Lamar Jackson. That's just how I feel. So with that being said, Hollywood Brown is a great addition for the Eagles offensively. Sean Mannion is going to have a field day with how he operates on the offensive side of the ball. And like I said earlier in the show, Sean Mannion was the quarterback's coach for the Green Bay Packers. And look at the receivers that they've had. Romeo Doubs, he had a payday, and he was under Sean Mannion. And then you also had Christian Watson, who, yeah, he's been hurt, but when effective, he's effective. So, like, we've seen what Jordan Love can do with his receivers, with Sean Mannion being in there. And from what Jalen Hurts has said, is Sean Mannion is amazing. And I feel like it's definitely going to help him with the pre-snap motion and like just high efficiency plays, which is where Hollywood Brown comes in. So I feel like this is a win-win for everyone across the board for the Philadelphia Eagles. It sucks for me because I am a Giants fan, and it's going to be probably Paulson and Debo covering Hollywood Brown. So if you have Hollywood Brown fantasy and they're going up against the Giants, unless something miraculous can happen with this squad and Denard Wilson, we'll look for Hollywood Brown to be the new Boston Scott and be that giant killer. You heard it here first. If I'm wrong, I really hope I am. I hope I get egg on my face for that one. But all in all, I feel like Hollywood Brown is a great addition for the Philadelphia Eagles. He is a major upgrade from Jahan Dotson from the last 2 years as a slot receiver. Jalen Hurts can literally pick apart anyone that he wants. Like he can give Devontae Smith one game where he goes off. He can give Hollywood Brown a day. He can give Dallas Goddard a half a game or a full game. It all just depends on the scheme. So, and the way with Sean Mannion too, even before he became a coordinator, and especially the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, like at Oregon State, he was slinging the ball. Like he was slinging. Like people thought he was actually going to be like a really, really good quarterback. He was selected in the mid round from Oregon State, like I said earlier. So I feel like with what they're going to use, and again, they have Saquon too. So this offense with what Hollywood Brown's coming in, it could be similar to the Chiefs' Pat Mahomes, but possibly slightly a little bit better just because of the veteran leaders that are on the offensive side of the ball. Like Devontae Smith is no slouch. Saquon Barkley, I mean, listen, I have my quarters with him, but he's still a really great running back. They have all the tools that they need to become a successful team in 2026, 2027 season. And again, I think this is a great addition for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think it's a great spot for Hollywood Brown. And also, when he was on the Speakeasy show, he will pretty much be getting any type of cheesesteak on Shady McCoy, and then any restaurants that he wants to go to, Shady McCoy will hook him up. So, from one Philadelphia Eagle to another, I think that's a great thing for Hollywood Brown. But again, before we end the show, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow us on Fake Football Analyst on YouTube. Make sure there's a little ding button right here where it says subscribe. It goes ding. So that way you guys know when we're going to go live or just put up videos just like this. And also, too, if you have TikTok, we're a Fake Football Analyst. And then on Twitter or X, however you want to say it, we're _ Fake Analyst. And that's pretty much going to do it for me today. I just thought this was a great hire. Well, I guess, signing and not really a hire for the Philadelphia Eagles. Their offense is going to be just as explosive as they've always been. And with Sean Mannion at the helm, I really feel like Jalen Hurts is going to explode with Hollywood Brown. And again, I think 800 yards receiving and possibly 6 to 7 touchdowns. And it's going to be all deep balls. So that's going to be great for them. Until then, we'll see you when we see you. Peace.